Good Tuesday evening. I think it's Tuesday. I hope it's Tuesday evening. As I'm joined as always by Mr. Dill, as we're going to have a little look at the ongoings of British Speedway at the moment. How are we doing this evening, Dill?
Bit rough, Mush, I won't lie to you. We're feeling a little bit on the old rough side.
And obviously, as we've mentioned, we've done a lot of championship coverage over the last couple of weeks. So we turn our attentions to the Premiership now, and with 5 teams confirmed to be racing in the league. How bloody lucky are we? Very nearly said a sweary then, so I'm very proud of myself.
Are you proud of yourself there?
Very.
God, boy, you're learning. It's a new year, new Palmer.
Tonal Thursday.
Yeah. It's a weird looking Premiership, ain't it?
It's very weird.
You know, we've got no TV deal, we've got 5 teams, we've got a 3-team playoff picture. It's a bit of a mess, isn't it?
This year should have been the year to go to one big league.
Yep.
It should have been.
But they left it far too late, pissing around with the AGM.
And it doesn't sound like they've got any plans for any AGMs throughout the course of the year to set the plan up for next year, which is very, very concerning.
Yeah, British Speedway, as we know it, could be about to become extinct.
We're probably 5 years, if that, away from that, I think.
Yeah. We've got some riders announced for some teams. Should we have a look for the teams that we have got and give our thoughts on what's what and stuff like that, and who we think could fit in the gaps?
Yeah, let's have a butchers then.
We'll start with the reigning champions. We'll do Ipswich first. They've got Jason Edwards as rising star, and that's all they've got at the moment. Obviously, come to the team building a little bit late. They didn't know whether they were going to be running. They are, but is there potentially going to be a shortage now? Obviously, they've lost Emil Sarvudanov. They've lost Jason Doyle as well.
Again, and as I only read something about this while I was walking home from work, the buyers are expected to be announced within the next week or two. But if what I've heard is true, there is some serious money being put into Ipswich for this season. So, whilst it's unlikely that we're going to get Emil and Doyle, I wouldn't be surprised if they went with a top 2 that are relatively big names.
Be interesting to see. And somebody who we've both spoke about a little bit, obviously predominant with his Premiership TV coverage, but there is no TV deal at the moment. Could there be a homecoming for Scott Nichols?
I mean, I do personally think this is going to be Scott's last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense for him to bow out with his local team.
And they've obviously got their 37 points to play with. Scott Nichols would probably fit in as a second string in that team. I think you'd have to expect Tom Brennan and Adam Ellis would probably go back there. Does Richie Hawkins stay as team manager, or has he announced he's leaving as well?
I think he announced he was leaving when Chris Lurie put the club up for sale.
If it's who we think it's going to be, though, does he make a U-turn, or do they bring their own manager in?
For experience-wise of being a manager, you keep Richie Hawkins in. But then, if it's fresh faces and you want fresh team and fresh people, a lot of people say Richie Hawkins and Danny King come as a pair. Can you see an Ipswich team without Danny King?
That's true, and Danny King has said himself, and he said in the Star, I think it was, that if he wasn't doing 2 leagues, it wasn't worth his time just doing the 1 league. So, and I don't see him fitting into any other team apart from Ipswich with how the teams are being built.
Not unless surprises happen and he ends up at Leicester, but other than that, I can't see him anywhere else.
So it is it is a concerning time still for Ipswich. They've got the security of running, but they have got no security on signings as of yet. But there is potential there, and if it is who we suspect is taking over the club, there could be a really good season at Foxhall again.
It'd be nice.
We will now turn our attentions to Kings Lynn, who are fully built.
So from an empty team to a full team, I say this every single year, and something always happens with Kings Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
But I really rate this team.
Can I just quickly draw your attention to a comment from Alan Rossiter to come in as manager at Ipswich? It's an interesting potential.
It could very well happen.
And Westlake has said Lebedev's to Ipswich Reddit today somewhere. I could see that as well. I hope they've got money for new helmets for him though.
Big up, Big Ange.
Big up, Big Ange. We've got 6 people watching us.
But yeah,
and Winchester is tuned in as always. Sorry, carry on.
That's lovely to know. Loyalty card coming through pigeonmail.com.
Funky pigeon and all that.
But yeah, on the subject of Kings Lynn, I really rate that team. I think that's in this weakened league. That's a very strength in depth team, and that is a top 3 team for me.
It could well make the playoffs. Yeah, you know, I think they've done very well considering Max Frick took up nearly, a big chunk of the points. Of 37 points, Max Frick has took up the best part of 10 of those himself. So with 27 points left for the other top five in reserve, I think they've done really well to fit that team in. I'm looking forward to seeing what Paco can do with a full Premiership season as well.
I think Paco's going to be almost like a Connor Mountain-esque figure, where I think he'll have a really good season. But with the riders of which he's riding with, he'll probably just go a little bit under the radar. But that's not a bad thing.
No. And Cooper Russian making a step up and not going in the Rising Star system. Ironically, he's just coming in as number 6 on a 3-point average, which is crazy because he's only on a 2-point average at Championship level.
Make it make sense!
But potentially a lot of pressure on him, and he's also now been announced at Unia Leszno as well in Poland, so a lot of racing for Cooper this year. I
do believe that's in an under-24 league. But
yeah, he'll be in the squad, won't he?
And he's not guaranteed to get rides all the time out there. And I don't think Luke was, and I think that's where Luke rode, actually.
It's interesting you mention Luke. I want to come back to him in a moment because he's noticeably not in a Premiership team. We'll come back to that one in a minute.
Yes, we will.
But that Kings Lynn team, I think if it stays injury free, you've got Max Frick, who's quality everywhere. Yankovic could make a real mockery of that 6.9 average. Chris Harris, you know what you're going to get. Ben Cook, as long as he stays fit, you know what you can get. He's looked good in the Aussie meetings that we've seen over the winter.
That top 4 between them are capable of between 40 to 44 points.
Easily, yeah.
It's no pressure on Paco and the reserves.
And for me, I know William Cairns is a rising star as well. For me, Kings Lynn have got the best rising star as well in Jody Scott.
100%, can't disagree with that.
He was, he came in at Championship level and took that by storm, and he raced really well all year. And it's good to see good people getting their rewards because he's a nice kid.
He is. It's almost like he's coming on our pod in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've got both Kings Lynn reserves coming on over the next few weeks. We've got Cooper Russian a week from Thursday and Jody Scott the following week. So we'll be able to speak to both Cooper Russian and Jody Scott ahead of their season at Premiership racing for Kings Lynn. We'll just quickly touch on Luke Harrison, a rider that's not been put as a rising star for anywhere. Surprised by that? I am.
Very. I'll be honest, I half expected him to be the Sheffield Rising Star this season.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he didn't do a bad job for Kings Lynn last year when he rode for him. But yeah, it's the thing that bugs me is more than anything, and this is no disrespect to Luke Killeen at all, even if he is a bit shit, that these rising stars are meant to be British riders. I consider Luke Killeen an Aussie, even though he rides in British Championship meetings, even though it shouldn't be allowed.
I must say I'm surprised by the Luke Killeen one at Sheffield, and we will go on to Sheffield now because that's where I think we both expected Luke Harrison to be. And it's a track that Luke Killeen has struggled on in the couple of seasons he's been going there as the Oxford Spires rising star.
I think Oxford Spires in general always struggled going to Sheffield.
It's a funny track, ain't it? Because although it's a big track, you've got to have some balls to get round it. Because as we saw with Emil, it's a potential injury trap as well.
It is 100%, and it's a man's track, as certain riders would say.
So they've confirmed Jack Alder, who's the recently two-time crowned Australian champion, did really well in those Aussie Championship meetings as well. Anders Rowe, Leon Flint, and Luke Killeen as the rising star. So there's continuity there, but it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the team is built.
100%. It's going to be an interesting season at Alton.
Who do you think fills those last spots? I suspect Josh Pickering will be there.
I'm expecting someone like Josh Pickering to be there. Is that average right for Leon?
6:57, I believe it is. Let me check.
That's like massive if it is.
Sheffield.
Sorry, I've already just noticed it.
Yeah, Leon averaged 6:74 at the completion of last season. With his British reduction, it puts him down to 6:57. It's a big average, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine Flinty on that high of an average.
For context, that average is higher than Dan Thompson, Nick Morris, and Carl Heworth, and Peter Kildemand, and Ben Cook, and Chris Harris.
That's like crazy. But yeah.
Alan has said Woofy or Noddy Holder. I assume that's for Sheffield. I think that would make their tail extremely long if they were to sign Ty or Noddy. Woofy's on an 867. There's absolutely no chance. Chris Holder's on a 684.
And if you have them two, where does you like to Pickering go?
Yeah, it will be Pickering or Chris Holder. It won't be both.
Yeah. It's hard to imagine a world where the only racing in the UK Pico could get is at Scunny.
Strange, isn't it? What do you think of the Sheffield team so far with 4 announced? I think it's good. It's good news to be keeping Jack Alder. It's just how they build the rest, isn't it? And Rowe and Flinty are good additions as well.
Rowe and Flinty made Sheffield their own last year, and I think they was always going to be nailed on.
Just a quick comment. Mark Dale has said, I think Kings Lynn teams look good. The Kings Lynn team looks good. It does.
It does. But yeah, with Sheffield, you get the rumour every year that Jack Alder don't want to do British Speedway and all that, but he shut them up every year. So fair play to him for coming back. And
although when you listen to the inside scoop of how that deal's come about, I do have a lot of respect for Jack Alder in the fact he's taken a pay cut to come back to Sheffield for this year, so that proves that he enjoys racing there.
Exactly. Fair play to him.
Now we'll look at Leicester, and talking of continuity, there's a fair bit of that in this team as well. Ryan Douglas steps up to number 1 with Max Frick moving on. You've obviously seen Dougie as number 1 at Scunny, and I saw Dougie at Wolves, and ironically the only meeting he was number 1 at for Wolves was the farewell meeting, but he's got it in him to do it. He's taken strides in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I don't think having that number one on his back's going to affect Dougie. If anything, I do genuinely think it'll help him kick on a little bit. And I do expect this season Dougie to really kick on, not only here but abroad as well.
And they've also got Sam Masters and Dan Gilks, who was extremely unlucky with an injury last year when he'd just signed for Leicester as Rising Star, so gets his full term at Rising Star for Leicester this year. Another experienced Rising Star if he can stay fit.
I've got all the time in the world for Dan Gilks. He's a great lad. He's got a great family around him. But he is the new Adam Roynan.
Yeah, there is a few injuries in there, aren't there?
You know, I wish him nothing but an injury-free season. You know, he's really good and a good pal of mine. But yeah, if he can have an injury-free season, he probably will be the best Rising Star in the league.
Yeah, and Nick Morris and Dan Thompson both go back to Leicester. Nick Morris obviously racing for Leicester when he was banned in 2023. I think it was 2023, weren't it? And that obviously impacted them. Goes back on a 5.89 average, and if Nick Morris clicks back into his high gear, he'll absolutely make a mockery of that number.
Yeah, 100%.
And Dan Thompson, obviously brilliant for Ipswich for the past couple of years. We spoke to him last week on here actually, and he said that he'd done the deal with Leicester before the playoff final when he was representing Ipswich, so he knew he was going back.
Yeah, to be fair, I think a lot of people knew that. But yeah.
Marcus said, Matt Ford said in the local paper it should be one league in 2027. I think it's got to be one league in 2027.
It has to be.
With the new restrictions that Poland are imposing, not just on their top league, but also their second league as well now, by the sounds of it. British Speedway is going to have to look at homegrown talent, and it is going to have to be one league, even if that means losing your big names.
And then again, it's like I've said to you many times, right? The best meetings I've seen last season was at National League level. That is some of the best entertainment you'll see if you're a Speedway fan. But no, Speedway fans like to see the big names, but from the gate racing. Make it make sense.
Yeah, it's one of, and you know we watch some Premiership racing, and sometimes the crowds are up, and it's not really a visual representation because of TV and stuff being there at these times when we get to see, but the big names aren't pulling the numbers in like they maybe once did.
I'll be honest, I'd rather watch Dean Piper bust a gut around Leicester than watch Dan Bewley at Bellevue.
And you mentioned Bellevue, that's where we're going next. Carry on.
How lucky are we?
Yeah, I think this is the obvious one, ain't it? As to how their team's been built, we know pretty much who their last three are going to be. So Bellevue have confirmed Dan Bewley returning, Norik Bladorn returning, William Cairns as their rising star, and Peter Kildemand is there as well. 6 years in the making after agreeing to join Bellevue in 2020. He finally gets his move to the National Speedway Stadium.
I hope when Bellevue hosts the Grand Prix, Mark Lemon is on the stage doing his Gangnam Style.
Oh, that video announcing oh god. He's lost any form of credibility, ain't he?
You make it sound like he had any to start with.
Wow, yeah.
But that team for me is bottom two.
Yeah, I don't think it's a particularly exciting team. I think with the riders you've got confirmed, that almost guarantees that Brady Kurtz will be back and Zach Cook will be back, which would leave a nice hole for a 3-point reserve at number 6. I think that will be your Bellevue team: Brady Kurtz, Dan Bewley, Zach Cook, Peter Kilderman, Norik Bladorn, someone like Tate Zischke and William Cairns, but I don't think that's a playoff team.
Now they're going to be heavily reliant on the top two at home. Away, sorry. At home, they might win a couple, but as a second string, I don't rate Peter Kilderman.
Hmm.
Norwich Bladon needs to really, really kick on. This must be the year Norwich Bladon kicks on.
He's got to, ain't he? Otherwise, where does he go? He's not really progressed in the 3 or 4 years he's done at Bellevue, has he, to be honest?
The best thing he could have done is potentially moved somewhere else.
I could have seen him at Ipswich. I think he'd have done well there. Alan has said Luke Harrison at either Ipswich or Bellevue. Possibly. But I think Mark Lemon likes his Aussies, so I'd suspect Tate Zishki will be that number 6.
Yeah, you'd expect so, unless he wants to bring an old rider back like Byron Becker.
And I'd probably suspect Jason Edwards, Jordan Jenkins will be at Ipswich as well, which would probably rule out a path for Luke Harrison there as well.
And we mentioned these riders, but it is a crying shame where we're looking at a Premiership and with no Richard Lawson, with no Charles Wright, with no Eric Riss. You know, like...
I could see Charles Wright at Ipswich. He generally does okay around there.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Richard Lawson has been extremely outspoken on Facebook, though, isn't he?
Very much so.
And we'll, in a sec, we'll just have a quick chat. There's a couple of these we've done on our little spreadsheet of who we think will go where. The Bellevue one is obviously the 3 we've said. We both suspect that Leicester's last 2 will be Carl Howarth and Drew Kemp. I think that's pretty nailed on as well. The Sheffield one is an unknown because it will either be Holder or Pickering. We're in a world where Luke Becker might not have a British team as well.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's one, and there's a lot of big, Jamin Lidsey at the moment. He confirmed in the Aussie meetings he's not back at Bellevue, and I could see him at Ipswich, to be honest.
I reckon he goes to Ipswich. I kind of hope he does.
I hope he does. He's a good rider. You don't want to be losing good riders like that to British Speedway this year when we're obviously still going down this route. But even in one league, I could see JMO staying over here. For me, he's about on par with Dougie as a number 1 sort of rider in one big league.
In one big league, he'd be a number 1 anywhere, and it would be really cool to see the likes of him and potentially someone like Keenan Rue somewhere that doesn't get to a lot of these championship tracks. It'd be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to see them around Berwick and then Plymouth.
Yeah, that would be intriguing. I could see Keenan Rue, as you mentioned, as well, back at Ipswich.
I'd expect that, to be honest, more than anything.
So the Premiership at the minute, we got no TV deal. What do you think happens with that? Do you think there'll be a last minute deal at cut rate price, or do you reckon there's a genuine possibility there is no TV deal this year?
I reckon there's genuinely a possibility of no TV deal.
And a follow-up for that then, do you think more or all of the Premiership clubs will look into their own streaming services if that was to become the case?
I mean, at the minute, there's Ipswich, Sheffield, and Kings Lynn that don't stream. I would expect them to start streaming. I expect an increase of Premier. I don't expect them to go massive and do 700 meetings a week, but I would expect like BSN to cover a few more Premiership meetings over the course of the season.
BSN have reportedly said that they don't want to do the full thing though as well, don't they? But they are always happy to help out people who want to set up their own streaming stuff. So, Ipswich, Sheffield, and Kings Lynn. I think it's the way forward. If some fans can't travel, particularly away fans. Ipswich from Bellevue is a long old way, ain't it? So if that,
Ipswich from anywhere is a long way.
Yeah, if you don't want to travel or can't travel for whatever reason, buying a stream, even if the price of a stream went up to say, I don't know, £15 a meeting, we'd pay that because we're Speedway fans, and
we'd pay that because we're stupid.
Well, there is that, but it's still cheaper than going to the track, and I think having that option, even if you're making a little bit less than filling your stadium up, would you rather have that option of fans that wouldn't be going, pay that money to watch the stream so you're getting something out of them, or would you rather just have nothing out of them?
It's a weird one, but it's like, and I can only tell you experiences from Scunny. But I remember I overheard Rob having a conversation with the streaming director at Scunthorpe. We won't name him because he's a bit of a knobhead. So, Martin, if you're watching, how do
we won't name him, Martin, if you're watching.
And I remember overhearing Rob say to Martin, we had more people on the stream than we had in the stadium. That bit's quite concerning.
Edinburgh do it right. They've got a perimeter, haven't they? So you can't watch the meetings if you're within a set perimeter of the stadium. So if you're within so many feet or miles or whatever it was of the stadium, you couldn't watch the stream. There was a blocker on to do that. I think that'd work if you're within, distance, unless there's circumstances, and then maybe that could be relaxed. There could be like a, I don't know, passcode or something which would unlock it, if people who aren't able to get there because of disabilities or anything like that. But if you're within a certain radius of the stadium, with Edinburgh, you can't watch their streams.
Yeah, I'm sure you can't watch the streams. Well, you can watch it, but you can't watch it live.
Is it 50 miles?
25.
25 miles.
If you're in 25 miles of the stadium, you can't watch it live unless you email them to say that you're not well or you can't make it for whatever reason. Then they'll give you like a one-off pass that you could buy it, which I think that's the way to go. And I'm going to mention that to Godfrey actually, because
your crowds were down this year, weren't they? Last year.
Honestly,
last season. This season. Time. What is it?
27 minutes past 7.
It's a mess, ain't it? It's we're still in the Christmas coma.
But nah, don't get me wrong. I love Scunthorpe and I love Rob, but the crowds he's had this year was probably the worst I've ever seen. Now, I'm not just saying that because the team wasn't performing. There's plenty of reasons why. I mean, we're in a massive cost of living crisis, which is only going to get worse before it gets better.
It is, yeah.
A lot of Scunthorpe people, they work on steelwork, so they're on like 6 to 2 or 2 to 10 shifts, and so I understand that. But again, the sport, it isn't promoted and it isn't promoted enough.
It's not promoted in the right places, is it? They promote it on the British Speedway Facebook and YouTube and the Speedway Star. That's promoting it to people who already know it. It needs to be promoted in like your local newspapers and local news coverage and all of that stuff. And if you've got shops and stuff near a track, ask if you can go out and put flyers in the window or something. Promote that way. You don't need to promote it to people who already follow it. You need to promote it to people who don't know what it's like.
I mean, the thing that I learned when I was doing Scunny's social media, and I still do this now even though I'm not on Scunny's social media. Social media is the best tool we have and it's free. So I'm I think it was the Tuesday or Wednesday before, I was going into events on in Lincolnshire, motorbike fanatics in Lincolnshire,
even the buy swap sell groups.
Can't believe I'm saying this, and I'm very, very sorry, people of YouTube, because this breaks me. I was even going on Grimsby groups.
Oh my god! And I know how much you hate Grimsby.
Exactly. I hate Grimsby more than Bellevue, but I'm trying everything, but there's only so much one person can do, and when you haven't 100%. Got that, and when you haven't got that help, it doesn't you're not going to get many places.
And that's why you need to attend events. It's like Workington attended their Christmas light switch on in December, and it's like events like that. You know, you get clubs go to the event at the end of the year, the motorcycle museum or whatever it is, and you promote there. But you know, you need to get out and about in your local area. You know, if there's a summer fete on, get the club there, or get your club outside your local Asda and, you know, get a bike set up in there. You know, a lot of people promote, you know, energy companies and stuff in Asda's foyer and that. Get a Speedway bike set up in there.
The best motorcycling thing British Speedway could do, and I know it costs a hell of a lot of money, but it would have hell of a lot of eyes on it, is the need to have a stall at the Motorcycle Live show at the NEC.
Yeah, because you get in your diehards that love motocross and stuff, but if you know, you see all these riders that come over to Speedway from motocross, and you know, the opportunity is there for it to work.
I mean, it's like, I know NGK has a Speedway back there, but there's no proper Speedway
promotion sort of thing.
Promotion there. And when you've got your motocross and arena cross guys, you've got BSB guys, you've got MotoGP guys, you've got, I mean, every day in that 10 days or so the big show is on, you have got big motorcycling stars there that everybody's heard of. Speedway would benefit from that massively. But will British Speedway think to do that?
No.
Probably not,
No,
because that's sensible.
It requires ambition, and it seems there is none. Everyone agrees that the sport's failing, but the people that can make a difference don't make a difference. Winchester has said, Speedway died the second it left Sky Sports. TNT says it's the home of bikes, yet only start British Speedway 7 weeks in. I get it, to an extent.
When you're only contracted to so many meetings, you're not going to do more.
You're not, no.
It's like work, innit? If you're only contracted to work 7:30 till 4, you're not going to work 7:30 till 4:30, are you?
No, that's it. And it's like, that's not an issue with TNT when they had it, or Discovery when they had it. That's an issue with whoever's negotiating the contract from the British Speedway side of things.
Phil Morris.
Yeah, they're brokering stupid deals.
This is also what I'd like to... I really would like to ask Premiership promoters this. So you've got Phil Morris on board as the Premiership CEO, or whatever the bloody hell is called these days. You've done a publicity stunt with Harry Redknapp, because let's be honest, he's done sod all out of this. He turned up to Poole, had a couple of pictures and went home at 4 because he was bored. And they've got that other geezer that nobody seems to like. I can't remember his name. But they've got another geezer on this Speedway Futures Limited. What are they doing there to help it?
Nothing. Simply put, absolutely fuck all.
Or did Phil Morris, and he's on the board of directors now, so I'm going to name and shame him, Mark Lemon, did they just pick the names out of the hat and thought, you know what, that's a good publicity stunt, we're going to go with that?
And that's the issue. It's all wrong, isn't it?
There's not a lot right with British Speedway, and that is not very...
And that's unfortunate, because we're not the smartest people on the planet, but even we know what would work. You know, the majority of fans know what would work, yet the people that are supposed to be investing in the future of it either don't want to do it, or are just ignorant to what needs to be done.
The worst bit is there are promoters out there that do genuinely want the best for the sport. There is. But when it's all down to a big unanimous vote, 90% of them vote with their own pockets in mind and not the good of the sport.
And that's the problem.
That's why we'll be attending the British Speedway funeral. We'll even put the last nail in the coffin before it goes underground within the next 5 years.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. And as we know, working with a lot of people, clubs, riders and everything in Speedway, it's fucking hard to earn money in Speedway. So if you're owning a club or a promoter of a club and you're looking to make money out of it, you're in the wrong bloody business.
100%.
Alan has said, do a Glasgow and offer free tickets to new fans. That will only work for so long, though.
Thing is, right, and I'm saying this with experience, when me and my auntie used to go round, I think we did 4 or 5 like different agricultural show things. We did it. I feel as though we did it right. This was back in the days before streaming was a thing, but we had a TV there with a few DVDs to choose from. We had bikes there. We did one on a race day actually. It was one in Scunny, and we had Thomas Jorgensen there. We had Gary Irvine, Michael Palmtoft, and I think David Alcombe. We had a 4th rider. I think it was David Al, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And we promoted it right, and we even said to a lot of families and gave families free tickets just to be like, round your weekend off right this Sunday with us at the Speedway 6:30, tapes up or whatever. And we had a decent crowd then.
Yeah, there is ways to do it. I know Wolves used to partner up with the Telford Tigers hockey team, and they'd promote at Telford, and Telford would come down for special events and bring some hockey stuff down. Both minority sports, although one is promoted right and draws crowds, and the other one is Speedway.
And again, I only know a lot of what I'm saying is because obviously with my auntie being the old marketing manager at Scunny, if the sports in the local area, they all need to work together. And obviously we've got Scunthorpe United who are, let's be honest here, shit. We've tried so many times as a club to work with them.
Don't you mince your words. You tell us how you really feel.
That was me being nice to them. But we want to work with them. They don't want anything to do with us. So, we suggested, like, we put an advert in their programme and they have, like, £10 off voucher in there, and the vice versa. But no, we're not interested.
And that's the thing, you do need people to be willing to partner up. It's like the Telford and Wolves thing worked, and that went on for 3 or 4 years before Wolves closed. That partnership lasted until Wolves closed, and it worked. People would come to they'd go and watch Telford on a Sunday, and then they'd have a ticket for half price, or I think it was like for the tenner or something if you showed your Telford Tigers season ticket, and you could come and watch Wolves on the Monday. It's day after, the next day on, and you can go and watch another sport for reduced admission.
That's how it should be. One thing, and I'm rambling on a little bit here, but we've
ramble. I ain't having that.
We've got a rugby club in Scunny that nobody's heard of. It wouldn't harm us as a Speedway club to say, how do you fancy working with us? We'll promote with each other.
Yeah, and nobody's heard of them. People know of the Speedway, but it's not a majority sport there. If Scunthorpe United won't work with you, partner up with somebody who will.
As I say to you, when we ask about working with people and that, the least they're going to do is tell you no, but you need to be out there trying.
That's it, yeah. We've rambled on a little bit on this one, but it needs to be said. It'll fall on deaf ears, it always does. But but I do think clubs need to look at streaming, and even if you get people to sponsor the stream for a season, if somebody, I don't know, if you get you've got a main team sponsor, if you get a secondary sponsor in to sponsor your stream for the season, so all of your streaming costs are covered, and they get prime positioning on the sponsorship, something like that. Everything in Speedway is sellable. People sell a patch on their arm, on their Kevlars, so you can sell a business package of streaming sponsorship for the year, surely.
It wouldn't be hard.
Couple of messages on YouTube. Jimmy Colbert said, "Evening guys, what a boy, Jimmy." And Alan says, "Cammy Brown, hope you're taking notes, sir." Yeah, because he's fucking useless.
Because Big Cabby Brown's really watching us.
Yeah. Glasgow do a lot of things right, but I'm almost certain Cammy Brown has very little say in that.
Glasgow don't stream.
They did a couple at the end of last season. Hopefully, that was a teaser of things to come. The issue for Glasgow is that they tried to do a professional Bellevue-esque BSN style stream from the start, and it was really expensive, and people weren't buying. And then they went to this cheaper product. The couple of meetings they streamed at the end of the year, and people watched them, and it was good.
Didn't they have BSN do a meeting on behalf of them this year?
Yeah.
I thought they did.
But Bellevue's production is high cost and high quality. Glasgow tried that and it just didn't work.
No.
But if you
people who watch Bellevue, they won't watch Glasgow.
No, and it's a shame because Glasgow's a brilliant racetrack. But if you're
gonna feel the pain in your voice saying that.
If you're gonna do a streaming like service for the season, use a cost-effective one. Somebody like, is it Tapes Up that Redcar use?
Yeah, Tapes Up.
People like that. You've got Clean Cut Sports and Pete Bollinger, who does some hockey stuff and he does some speedway stuff. He did Wolves, he did Birmingham streams for the couple of years they were in the top league as well.
Leicester.
He does Leicester, yeah, and they all work. So he does Leicester. There's no reason he couldn't. The only issue is now 4 of the 5 tracks are Thursday night tracks, the Premiership ones. Kings Lynn, Leicester, Ipswich and Sheffield are all Thursday nights, aren't they?
I do think one of them will move to Monday. And one of
them will have to move to Monday.
I'm pretty sure Kings Lynn will move to a Monday night. I'm sure Kings Lynn rode most Mondays last year.
They did ride a few, yeah, but their designated race night is still Thursday. Monday. You did when you got stuck and Buster gave you a lift back to the hotel.
I would never, ever, ever say a bad word about Buster Chapman ever again. That guy is a proper G.
Alan said hopefully Glasgow bring back the streaming. Hopefully they do, because I enjoyed the meetings we watched from there last year.
Well, if they're prepared to pay for me to travel up there, I'll go. Well, we'll go and we'll commentate and hold the camera at the same time.
But Bellevue, I'd assume, will have their streaming service again, and obviously Leicester is done by Clean Cut Sports, and I think they'll do that again as well. But if there's no TV deal and they're not streaming, I don't know where we go. Jimmy has said getting local people to do the stream at Glasgow is the main problem.
I mean, the thing we did at Scunny midway through 2022, and I know a few of them are still with the Scorpions TV streaming crew now, is we had Director Martin. He approached both the colleges that we've got, said he passed on a message to the media departments, said, we're a streaming team at Scunthorpe, there's no money involved, but we can give you a great experience to put on your CV for future. We had about 20 kids come and help us out, and some of them are still there now.
Yeah, there is ways around. Yeah, for sure. That was sort of how Birmingham did their social media stuff. They approached university students who were doing digital media and got them in, and they got some experience, and Birmingham got some staff.
That's all you need to do. Approach your colleges and your universities.
And another way for Glasgow in particular could be, or any clubs, BSN buy a couple more cameras and offer a school where they can teach an in-house media team how to stream and show them all the equipment they need and stuff. And if clubs needed it, they could hire it out off BSN for the season or something. Have a little bit extra and almost, hire your stuff out. BSN stuff is going to be quality. If they run a course for how to stream and what you need to be able to do and stuff, I think that'd work good for both parties. BSN get a little bit of extra money in the pocket, and people get trained on how to do something that BSN are doing really good.
100%.
Alan said, I'll do it. Give me some food and iron brew. I'll be there. Al, we've heard you on commentary. You're shite.
Al, we've heard what you're like with iron brew. You can't keep a can normal.
But, a lot of fans would do it, and commentary is difficult, and we're talking to somebody on Thursday who does commentary, and he does commentary solo, and it is hard to do. But you know, he's just a fan of the club, and I know he's a half famous person, but you know, within the local area and within certain sporting circles. But you know, any fan can sit and talk, and you know, you will always find that the fans will speak more passionately about it than somebody you bring in off the street to cover it as a standard play-by-play commentator.
Yeah, 100%. It's back, baby.
T-shirt coming this year, or if it doesn't, forget we said that.
No, it is coming this year.
Oh, okay. We're set on that one, aren't we? We've gone on a little longer than we expected, but there's some good points we've made there, and we're just a couple of idiots who sit here talking about Speedway, like, you know, but we're passionate about Speedway.
Yeah, and it's one of them. If we won the lottery, I'm sure we'd be straight out buying the BSPL out, and we're going to be like, let's get this shit show kids sorted. But unfortunately, I don't quite think £400 a week is going to quite be able to cover the financial cost it would.
No. Jimmy has said surely BSN will be upping their stream coverage this season. I don't know, is the honest answer to that. BSN was predominantly brought in to stream championship racing, and they do a lot of that. There are words around certain circles that BSN aren't prepared to take on the extra pressure and cost, in particular, of streaming Premiership meetings, which is completely understandable.
I don't think that. I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know how to say it. I do think BSN streams will up this year. I think they'll do a few more if there is no TV deal. In an ideal situation, in a week, and we obviously, as you know, we watch a lot of BSN, but it wouldn't be so hard in a week if, say, one Monday there was a Premiership meeting, and then you have a Championship meeting later in the week, and then the week after they show the Premiership meeting on the Thursday, and then a Championship meeting whenever.
So, yeah, that's the thing with BSN at the moment, isn't it? Their coverage is brilliant, and they get around as much as they can. But some weeks you could have 3 or 4 meetings in a week, and other weeks you could have two or three, potentially 3 weeks without anything on.
But you know, with BSN, if they don't show anything one week, you're gonna get 2 or 3 the next.
Yeah, because they make a promise, don't they, of so many meetings from each track and stuff like that, and so many meetings a month and all of this. So it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Even I think this year they said it was 3 streams from every Championship track and 2 from every Premiership track.
I could see it maybe going to 3 and 3 this year.
3.
Or maybe even 4 from Premiership meetings. You know, a third of the season.
If it's 4 meetings at every Premiership track, you may as well just have like Bellevue versus Leicester, then Bellevue Ipswich, and Bellevue Sheffield, then Bellevue Kings Lynn. You may as well just have the whole bloody season of one team on there. But
that is true, yeah. But we'll see what happens with that. I do think BSN will step up their stuff, but they've also got to be mindful that, you know, clubs do their own streaming stuff as well, don't they? So
yeah.
But it's one of them. We'll see what happens. It's unfortunate we're sitting here having to say, you know, we may not get to many tracks, and we're planning to go to a few tracks this year, a few different ones, and obviously I've not got a club to watch now because Leicester's like 2 hours away, so sod going there every week.
I mean, our plans are pretty nationwide. I mean, we've talks of going to Edinburgh, and we've got talks of going to Plymouth. And anyway, 2 hours isn't too bad.
And we might get from Edinburgh to Plymouth in about half hour if we use Alan's plan. But yeah, we're going to a few tracks, and there'll obviously be more time to watch meetings. We are planning to cover a couple of early season ones. We both suspect the Ben Fund will be streamed on the afternoon at Glasgow, so we'll be aiming to do that. We'll be trying to get to Nikolai Clint's testimonial as well if we can get that. The irony of Nikolai Clint having a testimonial and he's not got a club in British Speedway.
He's one of the other ones that I was trying to think of. He might fit in at Sheffield. I don't know what his average is,
Could do.
but I could potentially see him there.
There's going to be a few riders sat there waiting for any injuries or riders' forms to dip and stuff like that to potentially get an opportunity, isn't there?
It's not how it should be, but it's how it's going to be this year, isn't it?
Unfortunate, ain't it? Shall we have a quick run through of what we've got coming up on the channel over the next few weeks with podcasts and stuff?
Oh, go on then.
So the podcasts we've got coming up for the remainder of this month and start of next, 2 nights from tonight, Thursday, we have Pirates TV commentator and former BDO Darts World Champion Scott Mitchell coming in for a chinwag. We're really looking forward to that one. He was the fella we were referring to a few minutes ago about someone who does solo commentary and he's just a fan. So looking forward to hearing from him. And then a week from Thursday, we've got one of the most sought after talents in British Speedway at the moment and World Speedway as well. To be fair, Cooper Russian is coming in for a chat, and then the following week we've got his Kings Lynn reserve partner Jody Scott coming on for a chinwag. And then the following week we've got Jody Scott's Championship team manager Gavin Parr coming on for a chat. It does say all streams start at 7 o'clock. Thursdays will either be 7 or 7:30 because Scott's busy during the day, so we want to allow him time to get back home and not have to rush around. So we'll confirm whether it will be 7 or 7:30 on that one, but he will be joining us. And we're also going to be doing some re-watch-alongs, Palmer, as well.
Yeah, I believe we're starting them a week today. And we're going to take a delve back into the history books of the fantastic season that was 2025, and I believe the chosen meeting is Scunthorpe versus Glasgow for this one.
A meeting that was on BSN, I think it was, weren't it? And
it was.
And you haven't watched it back yet. You were there, but I think you were there.
I wasn't even there.
You weren't even there, man.
I was limping in Warsaw.
So you've not watched that yet. So we are going to be watching that for the first time.
How exciting!
And then the plan is for the following Tuesday we'll be doing a watch along to the Kent versus Thurrock meeting from last year as well, which is up on YouTube. So we're gonna have a watch of that for the first time as well, and it gets us back into the swing of doing our watch along stuff and all of that good stuff. So yeah, we've got interviews, we've got stuff like this. We'll also have predictions for the Championship, which will probably come a lot sooner than the Premiership because Championship teams are almost done. Once they are all filled, we'll have our predictions and thoughts on that. So plenty to come before the start of the season.
100%.
Do you want to wrap us up for this one? We've got a little bit longer than we planned, but it was a good opportunity to say some things that we were thinking.
That it was. So I've been Dan, he's been Dylan. That was us having a rant about British Speedway.
You've been Dan, I've been Dylan, and we've been very outspoken.
Richard Lawson's joining us next week.
Then that'd be a disaster, wouldn't it? Three of us all slacking off British Speedway.
But no, thank you very, very much for tuning in tonight. It's been emotional, and we will see you on Thursday.